Hi, welcome to this talk about virtual production in Unreal Engine. I hope you have a good SIGGRAPH so far. I'm David Hurtubise, I'm technical account manager at Epic Games at Montreal, and here is Philippe Rebours, technical account manager at Larkspur. We have playing around with virtual production since a long time at Epic Games. And in this talk, we'll talk about all the overview of the tools for virtual productions, and we'll do a case study with Joji and Jacob with Fortnite shorts. First, what is virtual productions? Virtual production is a next-gen workflow incorporating a set of real-time tool sets. So it allows filmmakers to turn their vision into reality. It redefines what can be achieved in narrative storytelling. It's a blending of live actions with virtual world. It can be used for performance capture, previs, body, face motion capture, virtual cinematography, and so on. In 2016, Epic featured some of the greatest achievements with Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. With Senua wanted to demonstrate the use of sequencer, a new thematic tools for capturing and editing. And it was the beginning of the experimental tools that we know today. After this, as Andy Serkis said, video making tech is a movie making tool. So we made it a part of the engine with a real-time digital human of himself. Epic demoed the digital Andy using cameras, and it was the early VP tool, as we know, VCam. To go deeper on animation sides, GDC 2018, Epic Games team with 3D Lateral, Cubic Motion, Vicon, Tencent, and we make a digital human with Siren. It was a high-fidelity, real-time digital character. We're working with that, living animations. It gave the Epic Games the idea to do more and more work on the Live Link plugins. And in 2018, we also dive into an exciting new technology for Unreal, ray tracing. In a joint venture with NVIDIA, ILM, Epic Games unveiled Reflections, a live-action film in Star Wars universe. And our real-time live presentation in 2018 with Reflections walked through all the virtual productions tool, but we had also an experimental work on the VR scouting tool that we know now. At GDC 2019, Goodbye Kansas and Deep Forest film, we revealed Troll. It was a short Unreal demo that raised the bars also, featuring unprecedented levels of cinematic qualities. And it was featuring, again, full VP tools and ray tracing. Here are some videos on this part, this project. But why cinematographers will want to work in a game engine to make movies? I could answer this easily with the fact that Unreal Engine VP tools are very accessible to people, and maybe because we can do a super cool baby like that. It was a really cool baby. We won real-time live in SIGGRAPH 2018. And there's many, many more examples. If you want to check deeper some projects, you can go on our websites under the production tag. You can also find the virtual production guides that just have been released. And you have many, many cool features, on, really many cool information on that. I'm pretty sure that you want to know more about those tools. So here's an overview of what we'll talk now. It will cover in order all those sections. Take a little time to check it. But we won't have time to dive into all the VP tools, so here are the other tools that will be interesting to know. Maybe more on the end display stuff. We have many, many things with KuCut stuff and all that, that's working with end display. End display allows to It's in-camera VFX, allows having multi TVs or that can show like your information. First, we need to link the missions together, and we'll talk about multi-user. For this, we'll talk about how to connect multiple instances in Unreal together, so to work collaboratively. And there's this example we see. I have VRScouting, VCam, mocap, and the sequencer that work in a user, and we have all that together with our teammates and colleagues to work in real time. You can see in this video an example. So if the editor shutdowns you with unsafe change, the next time you open your project, you'll show a list of transactions you made since the last save. So you can restore all this list and change and all change up to any recovery point you need. The new things in 4.23 is really the multi-user UX and UI that changed a lot. First, the Go live icon is no more on the icon. So you go on the, take the multi-user browser on the Windows developer tools. So you take the multi-browser there. If you want to, you can put back the Go Live button on the toolbar. So here is the multi-user editor. With that, you see that there is a lot of cool buttons, really easy button. You have now create sessions, launch server, join selected sessions, archive, restore, delete. You have the settings. You can see the display name and color of your character, and the archive content you can see there. We also minimize the possibilities to losing the session data through user errors. So server automatically archive all the live sessions. You can easily recover the archive data anytime. You can select the archive with the archive button, select the session that you have archived, and you can just get it. And also, you now receive a notification when you try to modify an asset. It's kind of same as Perforce. So if some other user using something, it's already locked, and you see the notification. In the Live Link, we have extended Live Link plugin now in 4.23. And it's now handled more than just animations. The big thing is you have the save and load presets now. So instead of using putting the source and you can preset it, now you have the save presets, really useful. You have the status indicator so that showed glance what LiveLink source are currently sending data. You have also the role that can be seen there. There's already built-in role in this part. You can see character animation, cameras, light, basis 3D transform, but you can create a new role if you want to. You can now also pre-process the data coming through LiveLink before it gets applied to a scene. In this example, I just push, it's the easy access switch, so Y2Z conversions. It's already with the built-in. And you can, with that, you can change preprocessor, translations, and map to a source or roll to another. You have also an easy game mode that instead of the long blueprint node that you needed to do for using the game mode. So now it's applied to client blueprint node, and you just use your preset, target it, and it's really easy to use. You have also the LiveLink controller component, so you can drive an actor in Unreal more easily from that. By example, using a skeletal mesh transform that you want to transfer to a static mesh transform, easily by that changing the role, using the roles that you need to and parameters. Also, the big thing is a LiveLink pose. In AnimGraph, you have the picker. So instead of just writing the subject, the picker is there. You can just select the subject that's already in the live source. After that, I will pass this to Philippe for VR scouting.
Thank you. So in the real world, directors are used to go on location with their team, to scout, find the right camera angles, how to set dress the environment. And our VR scouting tools lets them do the same in their virtual worlds. So for now, it only works with Vive, but we intend to add other headsets in future Unreal versions. You have various navigation tools. You can fly, you can teleport yourself. We have a grip navigation where by a hand movement you pull yourself. You can also scale the world down if you want to have a bird view of your environment. So the idea is to find camera's point of views, right? So with a viewfinder tool, you can attach a viewfinder to your hand. And so you can see and you can change the lenses as well. So when you're happy with a position, when you like what you're seeing, you can spawn a camera that will be bookmarked, and then everyone can see it and go there. You can also interact with it, and you can go back to that position later on. In the interaction mode, you can grab and move objects. And we have the laser context menu, so you see those laser lines that shows you where you point in the scene. We keep an history of all the moves, so you can always go back to previous versions, an undo system. You can also bookmark location that looks interesting, or when you want to be sure that you can teleport yourself later on. We also have a measuring tool that displays the distance between 2 points within the scene. And now David will talk about REST API. And I'll come back.
I will talk about, I think, one of the coolest features in the REST in the 4.23. It's the ability to controlling remotely over HTTP. I think it's insane. REST API, in that example, I use server control. It's remotely sent from Unreal. We use view.js and node.js, and we can control the actor via the translate. So with that, you can easily make remote controls. Let's check out the principal command that you have on the output log. You have like start server. If you want to enable server on startup, so let's let you check a little about that. And by default, will be hosted on port 8080, but you can change the default if you want to. The media I/O, it's from 4.20, but I want just to recover this a bit. We have like this proxy and profile mode that enable you. You can have inputs and outputs, SDI. So you have dual and quad inputs and outputs. Key and fill if you want to do like alpha stuff. Media profile give you the access on the toolbars to an easy profile that you can just put your inputs or outputs. We have Blackmagic and Adja media already on the marketplace. So it will give you the bundles. The Blackmagic one work with mostly all the decklink cards. Timecode synchronizer, an defined entry point for all live motion data. In this example, we have tracked cameras, face mocap, body mocap timecode. With different frame rate, we use like the master provider, and we can sync with the same frame rate each of this source. To do so, we need to enable the plugins timecode synchronizer, and you have, after that, the access to the timecode synchronizer assets. You'll be able, it's working with the live link, so you just select the live link you have with the source code, the timecode source, and after that, just check at the provider that you have as master. And we have, since 2022, the Open Color I/O. I want just to go deeper on that because many people demand about it. We enable its Open Color I/O handler. And you create a new Open Color I/O config in the Create Advanced Asset miscellaneous. You see the Open Color I/O configurations there. In this example, I used it on the website of OpenColorIO.org, the nuke default stuff. So you'll have like all the zipped file there with also the config.ocio that you can use. You use the config directly there in the configuration file in your config assets. And after that, you'll be able to set up the desert color space science. These color space settings work mostly on the composer for now, but there is idea to work with in-display in the future. For now, like you can use the color IO science in the compose, the element compositor, or like the CG composition. I will go back to Philippe to talk about virtual camera. Thank you.
So our virtual camera tool lets you use an iPad like a camera. You can change your point of focus. We have also a pink plane that is an helper so you can be more precise where you want your focus point. You can also play with the aperture, and the proper depth of field is then calculated. Another tool on the left is the focal length, and you can swipe, going from one to the other one. So you can move in the real world, right? And the camera is getting, the position of the iPad is getting recorded. But you also can direct your camera using the joypad. So the one on the left is for dolly and track, and the one on the right is the boom. So some other settings that you can, that you have, because the iPad is quite light, it can be jerky a little bit, so you might want to stabilize your movement, smooth it. Or you can lock some axes. For example, you can lock the 3 translation axis and you get a nodal move. Or you might want to lock the Dutch to be sure that your camera stays horizontal. You can also play with the motion scale. By increasing it, you can do those large movements like a flyover. Or by decreasing, by scaling down, you can be more precise if you have a very, very close-up. So this interface is done using a blueprint widget. That means that you can modify it. You can add your own parameters that you would like to control through the iPad. Now, Take Recorder is our window, our interface on which you define which actor from your scene and from the actors which parameters you want to record. Once you created this list of actors, you can save it by creating a preset that you can reuse anytime. You can also define default tracks. So for a specific actor class, in this particular example, the cine camera actor, you can set which parameters you always want to record. For instance, you're going to want to record the focal length or the aperture, even though you might not change it during the take. But also, you can define which parameters you never want to record. So when you hit record, the Take Recorder save a level sequence file. So a level sequence file, it's a container. It's a list of tracks representing parameters that can be modified over time. And we have multiple types of tracks, audio tracks, event tracks, shot tracks. That's for the editing. And you have also the subscene track that can reference other level sequence files as sub-levels. So Sequencer is our video editing tool and the visualizer of those level sequence files. For instance, here we're looking at our master sequence file that contains the shot tracks and the audio tracks. We can see its name on the right, and the shot that we're looking at is a different file that we're referencing. By double-clicking on it, I visualize the shot file, and this is where we do our shot work. I can, for instance, modify light. It will automatically add a key. The interest of the sub-levels is you can split the work and have multiple artists working on the shot at the same time. When you want to export your movie, you click on the clapper icon, and then you get the you can set the parameters and capture the movie. So beside rendering AVI, JPEGs, EXRs, you can now render out videos encoded with the Apple ProRes encoder. If you use the timecode synchronizers, the keys will be set at the proper frame on the timeline automatically. And by implementing the Python import-export FBX animation, we now have finished the Python implementation for the sequencer. So you should be able to do everything related to sequencer through Python, or actually, because of Python, an editor utility widget. So you can create, with that, level sequence files, add tracks, keys, etc. We also have a new curve editor that has its proper window. We implemented the retiming tool. So by double-clicking and adding those vertical lines, if you move them, you can then compress or stretch the keys locally. We also added the transform tool, where you can select multiple keys that you can then translate and scale in 2D. We also have different viewing mode. So there's the absolute view mode, the stack view mode, and the normalized view mode. Also, you can apply filters, and we provide some of them. But you can easily create new ones. You just need to create a new class, which derives from the uCurve editor filter base, and you override the appropriate function. And now I will let Jacob and Joji present a case study in virtual production.
Hi, I'm Jacob Buck.
Hi, I'm Joji Tsuruga, and we are technical artists on the special projects team. And we are actively using and advancing these tools that we just saw. Fortnite Shorts. So Fortnite Shorts are a result of an ongoing special project that combines the latest technology in the Unreal Engine with the world of Fortnite to explore and streamline virtual production workflows through the creation of sketch comedy shorts. Believe it or not, the hardest part of the process is comedy, but we'll leave that for another talk. The first public release of some of these shorts went live last month at the Fortnite Celebrity Pro-Am competition. Let's watch one now. This one is called Desert Island Flare.
Hey! Hey! Hey!
So how did we make these shorts? What is our workflow? As with most projects, we generally have three large sections: pre-production, production, and post-production. We begin with pre-production, where we come up with the concept as well as prepare everything we need to move into production. Writing scripts is the foundation of all of our sketches. Select scripts will be translated into storyboards, which help with the framing and pace of the story. We also create all the key assets necessary to tell our story, including characters, props, environments, and effects. Creating a stage layout helps us be prepared once we are on the stage to know where we want performers and hero cameras. We also create a stage proxy to view in-engine alongside our environment to understand our physical volume constraints. The transparent black here represents the walls of our stage, and the green outline represents our capture volume. We then move into production, which encompasses everything that happens on set. This is where virtual production shines. Jacob will now explain the details of performance capture.
To capture performance, we need to record audio, body, and facial performances. We used a passive optical system for body capture and retargeted our performances onto our Fortnite characters. When looking for a facial mocap solution, we needed a system that will allow us to produce content quickly with a very small crew. The goal of these shorts is to be topical. This led us to look for a facial solution which met the following requirements. We needed a real-time solver to see results live in engine. The solver needs to be generic, as we may not have a consistent cast of actors. It needs to have little to no training or calibration time. It must be able to send timecode directly into the engine. And it's always nice to have reference footage. The solution we felt best matched our requirements was an iPhone 10. They are incredibly easy to deploy and use a generic solver that works well across many different face types. There's no training or retargeting, which allows us to put a device in front of anyone's face and allows it to drive any character in Fortnite. We wrote a lightweight app that streams the ARKit face poses over LiveLink, stamps each pose with timecode, and also captures the reference footage. Here you'll see reference footage on the left and the LiveLink curves streaming into the engine on the right.
Hey, hey, hey!
Three, two, one. It hits the balloon. The bus is on fire. And cut.
Now I want to talk to you a little bit about our stage setup. To capture performance, again, we need the body, face, and audio. We capture the performance in Unreal on the record box. The body and facial performances are streamed into the engine via LiveLink, and the audio is piped directly into the engine. And Sequencer is what we use to record a take. All the capture sources and the engine are kept in sync using timecode. A stage with this setup allows you to capture live performance in Unreal, but once you introduce multi-user into the equation, a number of possibilities open up. I'm going to pass it back to Joji to talk about how we use multi-user in Fortnite Shorts.
So by adding a multi-user server, several Unreal clients are able to collaborate on the same project live through shared transactions. A simple yet heavily used role on set is the monitor. This is an MU client that is connected to a display that is visible on set. Through signal splitters, we also use this role for Video Village. Here's a clip of what gets displayed on the screens. We created a quad view tool that can easily swap between cameras that exist in the level. It can also go full screen on a single view simply by clicking on a quadrant. There's also some extra information that we need, like timecode and slate information. We built this tool using editor utility widgets. It's an extremely powerful feature that was added in 4.22. If you're familiar with UMG, you'll be happy to see that it has the same designer and graph tabs for building complex interfaces that can run in editor. Here you can see the director using the monitor on set to review takes and give notes on cameras and framing. Speaking of cameras, we created blueprint-driven procedural cameras and used several of them on every sketch. Every camera visible here is moving procedurally. The logic and configuration is kept simple so that we could easily drop these cameras into a scene on the fly and quickly have basic framing on all of the key subjects. You can see that with a few dialable controls such as target selection and motion easing, you can have endless variety with little effort. We also created a role called VPRC, or Virtual Production Remote Control, which pixel streams an interface to a tablet and can be controlled by touch input. To better understand the idea behind this tool, let's take a look at the various human roles that may be necessary on set for a traditional film production. There are performers, directors, ADs, DPs, script soups, VFX soups, gaffer scripts, etc. The list can be very long, and oftentimes several of these roles are multi-person teams. Along with each role comes with their own set of equipment as well. When creating VPRC, we wanted a tool that can give the user the ability to wear the hat of any of these roles by consolidating varying functionality into a single interface. This is especially useful for small teams that may want to run a full production with a very low headcount. Here you can see that a user can have control over slating, adjusting the views on the monitor, firing off recordings. They can use the tabs on the top to gain access to other roles. This is the actor tab, where you can inspect the performer and character properties and verify facial performance. You can also swap out characters. The lighting tab gives you control over time of day and the direction of the sun. Through VCam integration, you can also drive virtual cameras around your scene. With additional tablets and MU clients, you can even have multiple VPRCs running at the same time. Through MU, there are also several additional roles that can be added. A generic editor role is always handy to have on set. Other roles may include dedicated virtual camera roles, a rendering box, and a machine role dedicated to saving and uploading. We plan to continue to explore more in this area to find the best combination of roles for our workflow.
While multi-user enables collaboration between all of our Unreal boxes, we needed a tool that would enable us to control all the peripherals on the stage. This not only includes the body, face, and audio, but also reference cameras. Control Panel is the hub that allows all the different components on the stage to communicate with one another. Our design goal was simple. We wanted to set the slate in Unreal, hit record, and then have every device capturing on stage. Hitting record in Unreal sends a message to the control panel, which then relays that message to all peripheral devices. Likewise, someone could be walking on set using VPRC, hit record, and then trigger the entire system. Since Control Panel knows everything that is happening on the stage, it can upload all that information about a take to a project management database. This automatic tracking of take data is central and critical for enabling post-production automation. While Control Panel mostly relays messages from one Unreal session to other peripherals, it can also trigger takes directly. The system is modular and was designed for a stage to experiment with different machine roles. It is easy to add new multi-user box into the configurations. Control Panel also helps manage a multi-user session. It communicates with the multi-user machines, allows you to pick a change list, sync, and build your project. It also acts as a launcher that starts a multi-user server and can bring all boxes up into a level ready to edit in the multi-user world. This diagram represents the machine sub that we used on our stage. I'm going to pass it back to Joji to talk about post-production.
So in post-production, this is where we polish the work and go through the finishing stages for delivery. For some sketches, rather than breaking them down into shots, we explored a multicam workflow, where we have a single performance covered by multiple cameras. By having a master performance, all the layering, cleanup, animation, lighting, and effects can be contained into a single sequence and be shared by different camera sequences. This still allowed us to have the ability to create camera-specific overrides without the constraint of shot order or shot lengths. Most importantly, it gave us huge flexibility with our storytelling, as we were able to keep the edit fluid throughout the entire process. One major advantage of virtual production is the ability to adjust specific sections of the performance non-destructively without affecting any of the action you'd like to keep. Here we can see the creation of a new camera on an existing take through the use of VCam. Utilizing layered takes, we were also able to enhance hand and finger motion. We even layered in new dialogue and facial performance on top of the existing body motion to try alternate lines in the script. Editing can be done directly in Sequencer, but there's also a feature that allows round-tripping through the use of EDL or XML files. You can export these file types directly from the shots track, which can then be imported into the editing package of your choice. In this case, you can see a matching edit in Adobe Premiere. For the return trip, you can also export from Premiere. Once imported into the engine, you can see that the edit will match the changes made in Premiere, including track hierarchy. Once picture is locked, we add in the final audio mix, balance the colors, ensure that it is broadcast safe, and then transcode for various delivery formats.
So what are our future goals? We always strive for no post. As we continue to push more functionality into the engine, our goal is to be able to go into production and walk off set with an edit in final pixels. Going forward, we hope to share best practices and the tools we showed here. We wanted to end our talk by showing the other short we showed at the Pro-Am. It's called Team Outfits.
Insano Death Squad unite! Let's do this!
Ready for vengeance!
We will claim our destiny.
Hello! What?
I thought we talked about this.
Talked about what?
Your outfit, man. It's just not screaming Insano Death Squad!
You're crazy. This is the best.
We're trying to be intimidating here.
I am a fish, walking on land, breathing the air. That is intimidating.
No! Go change!
Are you serious?
Go change or you're off the squad.
Fine.
I'm so tired of this.
It's like he's not taking this seriously.
He gets one more chance.
Behold, the mullet marauder. Now what?
I'm out.
I just can't even.
Thank you to everyone who came.